What's it like for you as a coach when one of your guys gets a scholarship, as happened yesterday?
I mean, it's awesome. The guys work hard. And, when you're a walk-on, even when I was a player, I would see walk-ons. And when I became a coach, you kind of see how the walk-ons, what they go through. They can't really hang out all the time with the scholarship guys in terms of meals. They don't get to travel with the team, so they go through a lot. So when you see a guy get a scholarship that came in as a walk-on, that's pretty impressive.
Is that something that you push for? Like you go to Coach Fish and say, hey, Treydan, he deserves a scholarship? How does something like that work?
Usually it's pretty obvious. Usually when you see a walk-on kid and he's just, at times, they're outperforming scholarship players. So usually how it works, if you have scholarships available, then you can give those type of players scholarships. But it's pretty obvious when you see guys like Stukes and Rourke and JY. Those guys are very deserving.
What made it obvious with Stukes?
Just making plays, the type of scheme that we play, a lot of press coverage, a lot of man, and he's out there doing similar things at C-Row and Rutherford. So when you see a guy doing those type of things, you want to take care of him.
Do you have any idea why he wasn't more heavily recruited as a football player coming out of high school?
Well, coaches, we make mistakes too. I'm sure he was probably a little light, a little slim, because he's about 175 pounds. So I'm sure in high school, maybe he was 160, so schools kind of overlooked him. But I'm glad they did.
Well, you had told us in the spring that almost like this was something that could have happened with Jaydin with what you saw because you had worked with him before you became here, right?
Yes.
How much has he improved?
I mean, quite a bit. When I first started working with him last summer, I was pretty shocked that he wasn't on scholarship. And, there's some things that happened where he waited on some schools and things just didn't work out. But when I had a chance to get here and start working with him, and Coach Cecil's done a great job with him, it's just a great thing to see a kid like that works his tail off, and he has a skill set, and it's good to see him develop.
With Chuck Cecil in the spring, he kind of got emotional talking about Jaydin Young and just what he's done. From afar, what's kind of like your perspective on that relationship?
Well, Chuck was a walk-on as well, so I think it's, he's very, very passionate about seeing walk-ons get scholarships because that's how he started. So they have a pretty cool relationship.
Stukes is a state champion in the triple jump, I want to say, maybe a finalist in the long jump. How do those kind of skills translate to playing cornerback?
Well, he's long, he can run, so the track background really helps. He has good burst, good vertical. He's a vertical jumper, so he has all the tools to be a really good player. So he just has to continue to get stronger and just continue to develop. But I think the kid has a great future.
What kind of conversations do you have with your guys regarding special teams? Do you encourage them to play special teams? Do you want them to be on as many special teams as possible?
No doubt, because most of the cover teams, they're really defensive players. So when we can really cover well, that really helps the defense in terms of field position. And even if you're on some of the receiving special teams, we want to do well there too, just because that's field position too. So, special teams is very, very important to our football team.
Would someone like Christian Roland Wallace, who maybe has pro aspirations, help his resume when scouts are looking at him?
No question. When I was in the NFL, and I tell these guys that, NFL scouts, they look at special teams. And a lot of times what happens when you have your really good players in college and they never play special teams, and then they get to the NFL, they're a little behind because they didn't play special teams in college because they were star players. So I always really try to push these guys to play on as many special teams as possible.